Hey guys, everyone, how are you doing? This is James from Biome Detox Secrets, and today, as I have mentioned so many times about that we will have like really amazing lecture by one of my friends, and his name is Jerry Kendall. He is a holistic health practitioner licensed by CHEK Institute and also a holistic lifestyle coach. And on top of that, he is a exercise kinesiology practitioner. He specialized in diet and lifestyle transformation and getting people out of pain and into shape. So are you ready? I'm pretty sure all of you are. So if you can watch this, I mean, you should watch this. Type in the comments any questions that you have, and then we'll try to answer it back to you. If you have missed this, you can always go watch the replay. So here we go. Hey Jerry, how are you?
Hey James, thanks for having me on. How you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So
All right.
we're gonna talk about exercise today and how kinesiology plays a role in our overall health. So hold on one sec, James. I think I lost you.
No. It's just
Okay.
I actually wanted to like put
You
you on
get
the
on
screen.
stage. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Cool.
I can actually do that, so it's cool.
Awesome.
You didn't lose me any. All right, so
Okay.
here you
All right.
are.
All right.
It's
Sorry
up
about
to
that,
you.
guys. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
So today, James asked me to speak about exercise kinesiology, and I think the best way to maybe share the floor on this in the most efficient manner is kind of give you a real life example, real world example of how kinesiology and our exercise program, can be the make or break factor in our long term results. So most people, they want to age well, they want to get into their later years in a good physical condition, and I'm sure you guys watching out there are no different. But there's a particular example that I'll share with you, and this gentleman is a client of mine, and his background, his story was he always kind of wanted to get in shape, and he would embark on an exercise and diet program, and generally it'd last up to about 3 months before he quit. Now the pattern was always the same, and that looks something like this. He would take months or a couple years off of the gym and his health protocol, and of course after a long delay and long layoff, he started not liking that, and it didn't match his vision of himself as he got older, and so he would embark on an exercise routine, and he would be really dedicated at first, and then shortly into it, his aches and pains would creep back in, muscle tightness, soreness would creep back in, and he would put up with that for a while because the motivation was really strong. But after about 8, 10, 12 weeks, after the motivation wanes, the pain really starts to take over and the lack of mobility takes over. And so he would quit. Well, he would tell himself he's going to just take a little bit of time off and heal and rest up. But the pattern was always the same. So basically, what's going on there is his body knew that it wasn't prepared for the training he was doing. And what happens is you get this nervous system response anytime he walks into the gym. So he's basically traumatizing his body every time he walks into the gym. And so he came to me, and after doing a full assessment, we checked his posture, his range of motion, his core strength, his movement strategies, and we came to realize that the source of his knee, hip, back, shoulder, and neck pain was all in his inability to move and his job as an auto body mechanic. So what we did is we put him through a specific protocol, and we were really able to get him in a position so he could train the way he likes to train. He likes to train intense. He likes to go in there and really give it his all, but his body wasn't set up for it. So what did we do to get him from average car mechanic, right, who doesn't really focus on his posture or his core strength, and likes to train hard, to a guy who is ready to train hard and be able to give him any program that he really wants? The way we did that is through foundational ground up work. So it's no different than building a house. If you think of your physical body as a physical structure, it's a guide wire system. Tension relationships, length and relationships, strength and weakness relationships all make for the ability for your body to stand upright, okay, against gravity. And that requires a lot to occur. Okay, so you've got the brain connecting to the muscles, you got the organs communicating with the muscles, you've got you know, your body being able to make real-time anticipatory decisions on which muscle groups to fire, which muscle groups to relax before you even make a movement. So with this particular gentleman, he had a really tough time doing like a squat pattern or a hinge pattern. So anything where he had to squat down or we had to bend down was really tough for him. And unfortunately, he did that a lot in his job. So it was really beating up his lower back, and it was transferring to his hips and his knees. So first thing we did with this guy is we built the foundation. Okay. So just like building a house, you got to start with a solid foundation. So the solid foundation lies in your core and in your spine. Okay. And the reason behind that is, like I said before, it's a guide wire system around your spine. And your spine is supposed to be, let's say, it's not supposed to be straight like this, but let's say for intents and purposes, it's supposed to be straight. So most people walk around with a little bit of a forward lean in their spine and maybe a little bit of lack of lordosis in the lower spine. So you get like this rounded appearance here, and that's what he had. So if you can imagine, this is my spine. This is what's supposed to look like, and all my vertebrae are stacked in a column, right? The true shape of a spine is almost like a little question mark. But everything's stacked the way it's supposed to be. Now, if I just lean over just a little bit like that, and then I put weight on this, okay, that's what we're talking about here. So, and then consequently, his strategy for moving also involved poor bend mechanics. So when he'd bend over, his lower spine would round like that. Okay, so can imagine when he's putting on his shoes, when he's brushing his teeth, when he's getting out of bed, when he's just sitting in a chair, when he's on his phone, everything he was doing was a causal mechanism of this problem. Okay, it was part of the root source of his pain. So what did we do? And then also, so imagine his spine is like this, and then this area here, would represent the core. This stabilizes everything down here, right? So the spine can be protected. So your nerve roots going through there, not being jeopardized and damaged and causing sciatica and all sorts of stuff. And so he had a really weak core here. So if you can imagine, you got a crooked spine, you're putting load on top of it, and then you don't have support down here around the core. Okay. So he was just all over the place. Okay. So you can imagine how after about 3 months, this gentleman was not able to participate in a gym routine anymore. His body just flat out would not go into the gym because it knows better. It's protecting its own spine. So what we had to do is we had to go in there and we had to straighten him up. So we had to take him from here to here through corrective exercises. Okay, this is what kinesiology is. It's a study of body movement, and then the application of kinesiology and therapy is to utilize biomechanics to correct your biomechanics. Okay, so we straightened him up through a bunch of extension exercises, a bunch of bend patterns, and a bunch of squat patterns. So we taught him how to bend and we taught him how to squat, and then we strengthened the mechanisms so that he could do it properly. So if you can imagine a guy that's bent like this, what he's done is he's lengthened and weakened everything on this side of the back. So it'd be like this. So what we had to do is we really had to extend that out, strengthen him so that he could take load on. So we did that through a bunch of extension exercises, and then we also strengthened his core from the inside out. So this is a really, really tricky one because a lot of people know that they need to strengthen their core, but the core exercises that they're utilizing are actually aiding in their back pain. So they're doing a lot of sit-ups, a lot of crunches, a lot of leg raises, basically putting their spine into flexion. So if this is a straight spine, if I'm doing a sit-up, I'm going like this and I'm bending my back. If I'm doing a leg raise, I'm going like this and I'm bending my back. So you're putting themselves into this motion. So this would what would be called flexion, and that'd be extension. So they're doing this. Now, if you've ever taken a plastic spoon or something like that and you've done this with it, like if you can't break it on the first attempt and you keep doing that, eventually it breaks. That's what happens with your spine as well. It's called creep. So we very strategically, very scientifically built his core up from the inside out so that his inner unit muscles around his spine were nice and strong, and they were innervated and integrated, and they would fire when they're supposed to. Okay, so we did that, and then his outer unit core. Okay, so your core is layered. It's got an inner unit, it's got an outer unit. So then when his outer unit core engaged, it was actually doing its job as opposed to having to do the job of the inner and outer unit. So we got his core strengthened, we straightened him up, we taught him how to move, and right to this day, he's in a place where he always thought he should be. He's not had to take a break off from his gym routine in over a year. So that is the difference between a successful gym routine and an unsuccessful one. is A, your programming, B, your structure, and C, your stability. Without a combination of those three, you're just really proactively working towards an injury.
Okay, now I didn't want to interrupt you, but I asked some few questions
Yeah.
while I was actually listening to your lecture. So maybe can you give us a few examples or tips or some nuggets that the people who are actually watching this, because we all know that having a really really nice core is essential for everyone, not just for humans, but for like every living animals.
Yep.
So what are some examples or some tips they can give in order to fortify the inside of the core and also outside of the core?
Yeah. So first thing that I would recommend is someone get a postural assessment. You can do a self-assessment. It's more of a qualitative analysis than quantitative, but that's real simple. You just go up to the corner of the wall, you straighten your spine up, you go up against it, and you should be able to slide your lower hand right at your lumbar spine, and it should fit in there really nicely. It shouldn't get lodged in there, and it shouldn't just pass through very easily. So that's a very, very good test. And in that test, you should be able to easily touch your head, your thoracic spine, and your sacral spine, and your feet to the corner of that wall without having to, crank your neck or manipulate your body in any way, shape, or form. Okay, you can imagine if you're used to leaning back like this, and then just to sit up to touch the wall, that's an exercise for most people. That's why most people can't sit in a good posture, is because it's an actual exercise for them. So a really good tip would be to assess your posture. If you have something where you lean too far forward, which 95% of us do, okay, then your actual exercise, a great starting exercise for you would be just to stand up against that wall. Do it for, 1 to 2 minutes at a time, rest 1 to 2 minutes at a time. Do that, 4 or 5 times, do it every single day, and you will start to see a slow change of the shape of your spine and the strength and tension relationships between the muscle groups. Okay, so you've got this side and the antagonistic side. That's the first thing I would do. Second thing I would do is really work on that inner core. Probably some of the best exercises for that are just take a balloon, go get like some water balloons, maybe some balloons that are tough for you to blow up, but manageable, achievable. And you're just going to blow those balloons up. Okay. You don't make yourself lightheaded, but go through about a 5-minute practice of blowing the balloon up. And you're really going to use your tummy muscles, the inner tummy muscles. And just imagine that as you're blowing that out, filling the balloon up, when you get to the end, you're really going to draw that belly button towards the inside, the center of your body, like towards your spine. So don't think about sucking your belly button in. Think about drawing it in like you were trying to put on a tight pair of pants. So I would start with a big full breath of air, and then I would release. And as I release out, I'm drawing that belly button towards the middle of my body, towards my spine, like I'm putting on a tight pair of pants. Those two right there would be great first steps. And they would only take 10 minutes a day. Because it's something you should do every single day, I really get hesitant about giving a bunch of different exercises to somebody because it gets overwhelming to them. But if you tell them you'd spend 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes on 2 different exercises, that's very achievable for people. And to be quite honest, if someone doesn't have 10 minutes to correct something that important, they're just really not that interested in getting to peak physical condition. And if they're not willing to do that, there's no need to progress with any sort of program. If you don't have time for that, you don't have time for a real program.
Yeah, I do think that this is really important. That I mean I didn't really thought about this before, and because I didn't have any information related to this, and I'm pretty sure like a lot of people out there who do not have this kind of access to this information.
Correct.
So I think that this kind of information is very important for people to get to know, for them to have a very healthy life, because you need to have a really good spine in order for you to prevent from injury and other the exercises.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right. You're exactly right. That information isn't the widely available information. And this is the kind of the trap of the fitness industry, is that the information that's out there and for people, it's not for you, it's for the influencer.
Sure. Yeah.
It's meant to give you tidbits of information so you want more. So they're not giving you the truth. So there's that, and also secondary is these corrective exercises. They just take time. They take time. So generally, by the time someone reaches out to a coach, they're fed up. They're ready to make a change right now. They're impatient.
Mm-hmm.
They want to look better next month, and that's possible, but you have to be ready for it. And so, for a trainer or a coach to tell somebody that this is what I'm going to do with you, and it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks of daily exercises that you're going to do, and then after about 4 to 6 weeks, we can actually begin to build your fitness goal. People don't like to hear that, and so in order to be able to attract the right clients and the right people, it's people that are, pretty tuned into the big picture of things. And a lot of people just aren't there yet. They aren't ready for that. And that's what a trainer or coach deals with. And so they end up saying no to a lot of people, or people saying no to them a lot before they get the perfect match. And that's something that trainers and coaches fall into. If the client doesn't know better and the client thinks that they can just start a program tomorrow and you can give it to them and they'll pay you, then that's kind of the relationship that forms out there in the coaching world. But the true answer, for myself personally, I had all these issues: neck, shoulder, back, hips, knees, ankles. I mean, almost every joint in the body. I have arthritis in almost all those joints.
Oh wow.
And so, but I have no pain. I used to have daily pain. I couldn't move. I couldn't, I was just, it was horrible. I was really strong, but I really couldn't move. And it wasn't until I adopted this philosophy of kinesiology and exercise, corrective exercises to maximize and optimize performance. It wasn't until I adapted that strategy that I could go in and lift weights 7 days a week if I wanted to. But, obviously for recovery purposes, I don't. So that's kind of why it's really, when I tell people this stuff, it's kind of like, whoa, like it makes sense, but how come this is the first I've heard of it? And that is why, because for a branding, marketing, and scaling perspective of a business, it's very difficult. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
You've got to wade through the masses and find the right fit. But those people that are ready and just lack the knowledge and application, they deserve to have someone who thinks like they do to be able to guide them.
Okay, so now this is actually my personal question,
Mm-hmm.
and I must confess that I'm also in the guilty trap of me trying to persist of movements of doing the sit-ups and also the leg raise. And I don't know if you have followed my post, but then I actually was in a very bad condition with my back.
Yeah.
Like 2 months ago. So since then I couldn't really do workouts or anything. So.
Oh really?
Yeah. So and now I have recently started doing the workouts, but I'm being on the very cautious side. But anyway.
Yeah.
So you have mentioned about those two examples, specifically regarding the sit-ups and leg raise, but there are other forms that you are actually doing the other ways that you are actually retracting the spine the other ways, which was it could be like and also like it's called a Superman or a banana.
A Superman is like it's a banana reverse hollow.
Yeah.
That's a really good exercise. You just got to be careful if someone has like a spondylolisthesis, where one of the vertebrae slips under the other one. That you got to be really careful with those. And anybody that has any other flexion intolerance. So if they've got some of their spinal processes that touch, you got your processes that stick out, and if I extend and they start rubbing together, that'll cause pain. So you just got to be careful with that one. The actual Superman or the banana, it adds a huge amount of compressive load versus like just a prone cobra, which is like a Superman on the upper body. So imagine a Superman on the upper body, your hands back, that's a prone cobra. You're not using the lower body to lift up and compress. So instead of doing like an example there, James, where it's like you've got a really good idea for increasing extension, right, and building strength in those extension mechanisms, but a smarter, wiser way to do it, where you can do it for the rest of your life, would it be break that into 2 exercises. One would be a prone cobra, and reach out to me after this. I can give you some exercises. So combo that with a prone cobra, and then like a reverse hyperextension. So that way you've only got one part of your spine in full extension at a time. So that's the type of stuff that you really got to consider in kinesiology. And as far as the other side of the body, anytime avoid flexion for the core at all costs if you can. There's no need for it. You can get your spine in a in a spot where it's strong enough to handle a lot of flexion, but that doesn't mean that it's good for it. So you can strengthen the hell out of your spine by just working it in this plane straight, right? Or if you're going to bend up, sorry, my camera, or if you're going to bend up in some way, right? We're maintaining this hinge at the hip. So there's none of this crap, right?
No.
This.
You don't want that.
This. And if you can go from a completely laying position with your feet secured, go from and maintain these perfect spinal curves and come all the way up, you're going to feel that work way harder than any sit-up. So there's a couple other variations where you can start to go into the flexion movement, but you got to be coached through it. I give anybody anything, independently where they could be even going into a minor form of flexion. And so, and what you've experienced is when you're doing those flexion exercises, the crunches and whatnot, you're basically callousing your spine. And so you're going through all that flexion and it's creating this bit of callousing in here, right? Well, callousing is good, but you got to let it heal. And so if you're going through a workout program, you're callousing it. And then after a couple months, your body's like, I can't callus anymore. I need to heal, right? Or I'm sorry, you nick it, then it calluses. So I can't nick anymore. I need to start building calluses. And then after a couple months, you might build up enough calluses, you feel good, and then you go back and experience the same thing. So that might be something that's going on with you as well. It's very common, very common.
Good. Okay. Yep. Okay.
All
so
right.
I guess you can go. Yeah. Cool.
I guess right now, if there's any questions or if you have anything else, I'm happy to field anything.
Let me see if we have any questions. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't see anything here. Yeah, but yeah, it's cool. So maybe I guess it would be really nice. Like, do you have maybe a handout or some kind of like really like simple exercise or guide that you can give out so that people who can be also benefit?
No, I do not. But if you want, I can put in the Facebook group like a few exercises that might work.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I got to make something. I have guides, but it's really pretty inclusive. So it really very stray from this topic quite extensively. But maybe someday we can talk more, and then I can offer that guide as well. But yeah, I can put something in the Facebook group, just like a few exercises.
Just one tip, one or two tips. It doesn't have to be really like massive.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that.
Cool.
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, so I think there are no questions, but so I know that if some of you are watching right now, but if you don't have any questions, we are going to end this. But if you have some questions, later, then you can drop some comments here, and we'll be gladly to take your questions. And then you can also contact Coach Jerry Kendall. You can also see that his expertise from this lecture. So yeah, just fire your questions and he will be there for you. So, right?
Yep, and they can always reach out to me at CoachJerryHLC.com, it's my website, or they can email me direct at CoachJerryHLC@gmail.com.
Sounds good. Thank you for time.
All right, James. Thanks. Appreciate it, man. It's fun.
Okay, bye.
All right, we'll see you.